One thing the Raiders have going for them, though, is that they own Denver. They won all 3 last year, including a 42-24 blasting in the wild card game. They've won 9 of the last 10. Even in the old days, the Oakland Raiders went 17-0-1 against the Broncos from 63-71. It even carries out of the hemisphere. Remember this August, Raiders won in preseason at Barcelona. As Andrea Kramer reports, for Denver, the Raiders represent a mile-high low.
Have beaten the Broncos more than they've beaten any other team. The Broncos have lost to the Raiders more than they've lost to any other team.
I do think they have a psychological edge on us now, no question about it. I think until we are able to beat them, that's not going to change.
Unfortunately, the Raiders, won a lot of close games in those times and made it a more of a psychological problem for us to overcome.
When you get to a point where you feel like you just dominate a team, then you tend to lose respect for them. And I think that that's what's happened over the years. I don't really feel like the Raiders respect the Broncos the way that they should.
As of now, we have that psychological edge from the standpoint that we're able to dictate to them what we want them to do.
I hope they keep thinking that way. Tell them to come on in.
They have to be thinking going into the game, what can we do to beat these guys? I mean, what is it going to take to shoot them all, to get rid of the whole team?
I don't think Tim Brown has any understanding of how we feel going into this game.
There's a belief here that we'll always find a way to beat the Denver Broncos no matter what happens.
I think that statement's ridiculous.
I don't know. I think the only thing they have left to do is to cheat, to cheat, to steal, to lie, to do something, pay the officials off or something.
You can say that after you win. After we win, we can say anything we want to. We can say we intimidated them, and that's why we beat them, and that's what we're going to say, maybe.
The sense you get from the Broncos is they don't want to get into a war of words with the Raiders. But, according to players, what appears to be an unemotional response is due to Wade Phillips, who frowns upon any display of anger or animosity.
I don't stand for that from my team.
You get the feeling from some of your teammates that it's only words.
Oh, well, then they're lying. They're not being honest with you. I think it angers you to no end, but public image, we want to look like we can't be effective, when in fact, my blood's boiling right now. We'd like nothing better than to knock crap from them, honestly.
Maybe the Raiders' domination is tied to their style of play.
Hit after the play, push people in the face, bring people off the bench and start fights.
When the play's over, guys hit you in the back, and you almost feel like they've come to count on us not retaliating.
Okay, don't get mad at me, Tito. Cheaters never win.
I don't want to be like them. I'd rather. You don't want to say you'd rather lose in this league, but I'd rather do things the right way.
Were you almost ready to say we'd rather lose the right way than win their way?
That's what I said.
But Simon says,
I'm not saying do something stupid and get thrown out of the game, but on the next play when the ref's not looking, what's wrong with slugging a guy? I mean, he got you the last play, now it's get even time.
for the Broncos to reverse this one-sided rivalry, they must swing the psychological pendulum their way. And as any good shrink might advise, it starts with saying what you believe and believing what you say.
What comes out of your mouth is what you truly believe and feel in your heart. So if you say, I'm going to go out and kick it out of the Raiders, and you believe it, then chances are you're going to do it.
Good job, Andrew. Tommy, are you ready for some boxing? Pat Bolin, by the way, just called up again during the piece. You ready now?
After watching that piece, now I'm ready to play. You know, in the 60s when the Broncos wore this uniform, there was a point at which the Raiders won 14 straight games. Now they've won 9 out of the last 10. Aggressiveness and mental attitude will affect them, but I'll let you in on something. It was alumni weekend for the Broncos. John Elway stood in front of a group of Bronco boosters on Friday night and promised that he would get a victory today against the Raiders. Might have been a small crowd.
Phone booth, maybe? Well, there'll be a lot more than a phone booth at Mile High today.